Another day, another Ethan. Like literally, that's what I'm gonna put right there in the thumbnail. That literally is the only way that I could think of titling that thumbnail for this video. So we have yet another Ethan we are dealing with. I keep telling y'all these Ethans are evil. If their name is Ethan, you might want to keep far away from them. Now, this story right here kind of flew way under the radar, and it just happened. That's the crazy part about it. But you know how mainstream media is. They don't like to keep people in the loop. That's why you have to have and rely on people like myself and others to bring these kind of stories to light. So this guy's name is Ethan Miller, and he's known as the Bend Safeway shooter. Apparently, there was a shooting that occurred at a Safeway out in Oregon. And I guess the place is called Bend, Oregon. I'm guessing that's where it's at. I never heard of it. And it flew under the radar. It actually happened on August 28th. And I'm recording this on August 30th. And you'll get it by tomorrow, August 31st. So this is a very recent thing, but it did not make the news. You know how with Peyton Gendron, it didn't make the news. As far as I know, I didn't even see it trend. If it wasn't for the people in the Discord or on Twitter, I would have not known this story existed. But I'm on heavy.com right now. Y'all know I love to go to Heavy because they really be laying it all out when it comes to stories such as these. So let's go ahead and get into it. Ethan Miller was identified as the active shooter who killed two people August 28th at a Safeway grocery store in Bend, Oregon, after first plotting a school shooting in a macabre manifesto that read, "I'm evil, plain and simple." Well, at least he's honest. Y'all know I love and appreciate honesty. And what did I tell you? And it's crazy because I said these Ethans are evil, and he said that he's evil. At least he's not trying to hide it. Bend police spokesperson Sheila Miller identified the shooter as Ethan Blair Miller, age 20, of Bend, and the two victims as Glenn Edward Bennett, a shopper, and Donald Ray Surratt Jr., an employee, who tried to disarm the gunman. Bennett, age 84, of Bend, was shot near the entrance of the store, she said. Surratt, age 66, of Bend, was shot in the rear of the store in the produce section. Now, you want to know what's so interesting? Because when I saw this on Twitter, I said literally copycat. Like, that was my response to it. Or was it on Discord? It was in one of those places, wherever it was posted at, where I saw it first. Because it happened in the grocery store. You have this guy whose name is Ethan. He's 20. He's around the same age as Peyton Gendron. I think they're like a year or two apart. It happened at a grocery store just on two different coasts with a military style weapon. And the people that were shot were elderly people. Even though with Peyton Gendron, he shot more people and it was a mix of ages, but a lot of them were older. This guy shot two people and they were both up in age, 84 and 66. Remember, they fall into my soft target category as well, as along with, you know, women and children. And the other category in which I will be referring to with this video and this story is their age of them being elders or elderly. And another similarity is that one of them tried to stop him, much like the security guard at the Tops grocery store in Buffalo who tried to shoot him, but the padding was too thick for the bullets to penetrate through, and unfortunately the security guard lost his life trying to stop him. And just like this guy lost his life trying to stop him. Surratt engaged with the shooter, attempted to disarm him, and may very well have prevented further deaths, police spokeswoman Miller said. Mr. Surratt acted heroically during this terrible incident. Two other people suffered injuries that were not life-threatening. Officers responded to the store in the area of the Forum Shopping Center on Sunday night, August 28th, according to police. "I'm a bloodthirsty, evil psychopath. Either way, it would have worked." He wrote in a journal entry on Wattpad, reviewed and saved by Heavy before it was deleted. The page is called The Downward Spiral of Ethan Miller. The gunman also posted on Instagram pictures of himself with weapons. "Well, this is it," read another post in the manifesto, and it says, "Today is the day I die." Like, he actually wrote a whole manifesto, which I'm not going to read because it is very long. I'll leave the link if you want to read it yourself. Miller wrote that he planned to be a school shooter and was influenced by Columbine. Now, here's the crazy part. Have y'all noticed that a lot of these individuals such as Ethan Miller, Peyton Gendron are influenced by Columbine? Now, let's do some math here. Columbine happened in 1999. 1999. That was 23 years ago. Ethan Miller is 20 years of age. I don't know if he's turning 21 this year or if he just turned 20 this year. So he was either born in 2002 or 2001. Either way, he was not born when Columbine happened. He would not have known what Columbine was until he actually had to do his own research about it or someone told him about what happened. Same thing with Peyton Gendron. He was not old enough to remember Columbine because he wasn't born yet. Ethan Miller wasn't born yet either. But I find that people like them who say that Columbine is an inspiration for the stuff that they plan to do or the plan that they just do outright were not even born when these events happen. And people like to say that stuff happening a long time ago doesn't have the effects of what occurs now. It's funny because whenever these school shootings happen or they're planned to happen, a lot of the times when they ask them if they don't get deleted, when they ask them what was their inspiration, or if they pull up a manifesto and it says right there, my inspiration was Columbine. Something that happened in 99 is still having the effects today for would-be possible domestic terrorists. Let's just call it what it is. Just like whenever I do stories about these incels, before I even get into the story and when I already know that their inspiration was Elliot Rodger and what he did was well over 10 years ago. So when you put into perspective, a lot of the stuff that happens at a point in time, at one point in time, always has an effect of what a lot of the behaviors are for people today. And when you look at their mindset, they literally try to parallel themselves off of the previous incident. That's why I call them copycats. And when it comes to Elliot Rodgers, a lot of the people that find inspiration from him were either not born at the time, or they probably were, but they were very young. They wouldn't have not known who the hell Elliot Rodgers was. Just like the one I just did about the Alejandro Gomez down in Texas, who said he wanted to go to the Turning Point USA event in Florida and wanted to shoot it up. And one of his inspirations was Elliot Rodger, an incel much like himself. Now, this guy looked like he is in his early 20s, maybe. I forgot what his age was. But at the time when Elliot Rodgers did his thing, he was just a child. So look at all these copycats that they keep trying to mimic themselves after. Let me continue. I just had to put that out there. And also, it said that he was posting up guns on Instagram and Instagram didn't delete his account. Let there have been a black person posting those type of weapons up on any social media account. Not only would their account have gotten deleted, but they probably would have had every type of government agency at their door, wondering how they got those weapons. Just saying. But then again, Twitch also did allow Peyton Gendron to live stream him committing his act of terrorism before they finally acted on removing the post. People on that platform saw it in real time, but that's neither here nor there. Let's continue. Miller had no criminal history, and authorities did not learn about his writings until after the mass shooting, Sheila Miller said. She said police were investigating how Ethan Miller acquired the weapons. Now here's what you need to know. Now it's about to go into the 5 facts. 1. Miller left a journal railing against WUVIT restrictions and writing, I was turned into a monster. I created this tragedy, but society created me. A page on Wattpad reads as a final journal or manifesto. It has been taken down, but Heavy saved screenshots. In it, Miller rated about WUVIT hysteria by government and blamed isolation and loneliness for the mass shooting. If you're reading this, then I'm definitely dead and have just committed a national tragedy. I've left this journal for all of the investigators, media, internet sleuths, etc. But most importantly, this is for the very few people that I actually care about. And he put very few in all caps. He actually cares about and wants to understand why and how this happened so that they can be at peace. I'm going to lay it all out for you so that by the end of all of this, you will understand why I did what I did. What you'll see here is the documentation and the description of the months, weeks, days, and today up until the massacre. Well, then I guess I should tell you all a little bit about myself. Not much that's noteworthy. Most of the stuff about my birth and early life, back when things were so much simpler, it's going to be pretty easy to find. I've changed a lot since then, obviously, LOL. The real changes started a little over 2 years ago when WUVIT first started to become a global thing. God, that effing pisses me off. I still cannot believe that the entire world fell for that. The virus itself was real and deadly, but instead of actually coming up with a real solution to the problem, they, meaning the tyrannical US government, instead used the problem to create mass hysteria and panic among us, meaning the people of America, and then force us into isolation and loneliness for a significant amount of time. So it just sounds to me like this is a person that just didn't like the restrictions, and I guess him staring at four walls all day, in his own words, made him go crazy. I guess if I'm reading this correctly so far, because there's still some more to read. I still haven't been able to pull myself out of that state, despite numerous attempts at getting back into MMA, which I still love so dearly and always will, despite numerous attempts at new jobs, despite numerous attempts at finding love once again, despite numerous attempts at being social and trying to make new friendships, they have proved futile. So now we are here. I hope that this journal can give you all a sense of peace and closure, but the world has made this happen, and I am responsible for this. But I was turned into a monster. I created this tragedy, but society created me. Another post read, "My humanity is gone. I have no emotions whatsoever." In another post, he claimed he was not a white supremacist or incel, but hated quote unquote everything. He added, "I'm at peace with the monster I have become." Police revealed in news conference on August 29th that as officers responded, the shooter entered from the Fox Hollow apartments. He was shooting rounds from the AR-15 style rifle. He entered the west entrance of Safeway. Inside the entrance, he shot one person who died. The shooter continued through Safeway, shooting and killing a second person inside the store. Police entered the store while shots were still being fired, and they found Miller deceased. They found a shotgun and AR-15 rifle in close proximity to the shooter. There was no evidence of a second shooter despite early reports. Molotov cocktails were also found in his car. Now here's the second fact that I'm about to read. The second one says, Ethan Miller posted photos showing him with guns, wrote that he was done waiting and was influenced by Columbine. Miller, who posted photos with guns on social media, bought an AR-15 to the Safeway store on August 27, 2022. In the journal entry, Miller wrote that he was done waiting. "I can't wait any longer," and he wrote that in all caps. "The rage has become uncontrollable," the journal entry read. He also left behind a YouTube channel with multiple videos, some showing shooting guns. In another post, Miller indicated he was planned to be a school shooter and was influenced by Columbine. At a press conference late Sunday, Bend Police Chief Mike Krantz said, "At approximately 7:04 p.m., we received a call for service at the Forum Shopping Center. Multiple 911 calls came in. As police responded, we had reports of at least one possible or two active shooters in the area. The calls were shots being fired. We believe the shooter entered from a residential area behind the Forum Shopping Center. The shooter moved from the parking lot of the Costco on the west end, shooting rounds in AR-15 style rifle." Krantz said the shooter then went into the west entrance of Safeway. The chief said they engaged one person there and shot that person. That person was transported to the hospital and was later pronounced deceased. The shooter continued through the Safeway firing rounds. The shooter killed a second person inside the Safeway. Officers responded, and when they arrived, they still entered the Safeway immediately, still hearing shots. They found the apparent shooter dead inside of the Safeway. Krantz said the rifle and the shotgun were found near the shooter. He said officers didn't fire any shots. The chief added the suspect is a male but did not identify him or the victims. Social media users claim that Miller once worked at the Safeway, but authorities have not confirmed this. He lived in the Fox Hollow apartments, according to Sheila Miller. Officers entered to confront Ethan Miller, but he died of a self-inflicted gunshot wound, the police spokeswoman said. And it makes me wonder, if he had lived, if he didn't take himself out, if he wasn't prepared to go, because he wrote he was prepared to die, so he was ready to be out. He wasn't just writing for fluff. If he survived, would they have treated him like Peyton Gendron, or would they have taken him out themselves? After all, he did say he wanted to go. I mean, we'll never know now because he took himself out. A police bomb squad cleared Ethan's apartment as well as the Safeway. The third fact reads, the gunman ranted about Mountain View School, writing that he had no good memories about that school. Miller ranted about Mountain View School and left journal posts indicating that he was considering an attack there instead. No good memories about that school or the staff within it, he wrote a week before the Safeway shooting. He was an amateur MMA fighter. He was posting on Columbine Reddit posts. He also had a playlist dedicated to the shooting he posted to Spotify. His YouTube had videos of him shooting. I mean, all these red flags and no one made a move. Krantz said a witness reported a possible second shooter in the area, but no evidence has been found of a second gunman or any additional gunshots in the city. He said the investigation is ongoing and is active. Officers from several Central Oregon police agencies and the FBI are at the scene. This will take a long time to collect evidence, process the scene, and complete the investigation, Krantz said. He said the crime scene includes the entire parking lot and shopping center, and investigators are also obtaining search warrants for the suspect's residences. Central Oregon peacekeepers attended a police briefing and reported the following. Shooter started outside and walked along sidewalk, fired into big lots, went to Safeway, and shot someone who died at a hospital. Shooter was killed. No news on potential injuries. Multiple agencies responding. Bend Police Department did not fire a weapon. KTVZ quoted a hospital spokeswoman as saying they received 2 people, 1 deceased and 1 in good condition. The Bend Bulletin reported that a Safeway employee told the newspaper that a person walked into the grocery store, opened fire with a gun, firing multiple shots. The television station reported that multiple gunshots heard in the area of the shopping center at Highway 20 and Northeast 27th Street. The fourth fact reads, Miller's mother works at Safeway as a personnel coordinator. On Facebook, Miller's mother, Gail Dover, wrote that she worked at Safeway as the store's personnel coordinator. She forgave, but she won't forget. She's moving on to better things. No regrets, just lessons learned. Her profile reads. It says she lives in Bend, Oregon. She occasionally posted shout outs to Miller, who was involved in mixed martial arts. Ethan took first place in his tournament today. So proud of him. She wrote with her heart emojis on April 23rd. A day before the shooting, she wrote, sometimes in life, we have to make decisions that don't seem fair or aren't the easiest to make. Those decisions can make or break a person. They may also be the right ones. She didn't say what she was referring to, and she has now locked down her Facebook page so the posts are no longer visible. Sometimes that can say a lot. I wouldn't be surprised if she was talking about her own son. I wonder if she had an inkling of what her son was about to do. Because it sounds to me, I don't know if her son lived with her or not, but if he did, well, it said that they went to his apartment. So 9 times out of 10, they probably didn't even live together. But maybe she saw some signs there. And maybe she was scared to say something because it could have come back on her. I don't know. According to KTVS, callers said they saw someone dressed in all black, while others said a male subject holding 2 duffel bags who may have entered the grocery store. Miller sprayed gunfire down every aisle. The bulletin added that the mass shooting prompted shoppers to reach for their own weapons. He may have had additional weapons, the newspaper reported. Well, it's good to know that it was some people in there that did have their power tools. And the last fact that Heavy has wrote is, a former classmate wrote that Miller picked on people at school and seemed a bit off. So if this is true, then he tried to make himself look like a victim. If this is true. A former classmate wrote on Facebook that Miller was picked on people at school and seemed pretty upset most days. I went to high school with the Bend, Oregon shooter. We talked in passing. He seemed a bit off, but I was always nice to him as an upperclassman should be. We had a few classes together and he seemed to always get into trouble at school, picked on people, and seemed pretty upset most days. I keep getting phone calls about what happened today in my hometown. I'm appalled at what happened, but also this seems to be our new normal. I can't post the link on here, but if you want to read how it happened, his name is Ethan Miller, 20 years old, from Bend, Oregon. In 56 pages starting on June 29th, each day he writes a story about what's about to go down. On the last day when the shooting happened, he says his goodbyes. It's very disturbing, but he goes into extreme depth on why. A person on Reddit wrote on Reddit that they work at the store as a courtesy clerk. Really happy to be alive and safe right now, the post said. I was outside pulling cars in when I heard gunshots from what sounded like near Costco by the Fox Hollow Apartments. I wasn't sure if they were gunshots until I saw a guy running as fast as he could. Not long after, I heard more gunshots. I saw a black sedan, and I think maybe that was the car. The post continued. I ran inside. People started to come in. I told people to stay in. I told the manager ish was happening, and I saw my friend. I ran to him and told him about it. That's when I heard gunshots inside of the store. Me and him and so many people ran out as fast as we could. I heard more gunshots near me. My co-worker saw the shooter. He made it out okay. I've never seen people run like that. I've never been in a panic like that. And that is the whole article right there. So this guy definitely had a lot of issues. I mean, that manifesto sounds really cryptic to me. Like, he detailed it all the way down. They said his manifesto was 56 pages long. We ain't reading all of that. You can read that on your own time. But yeah, this is another wild story right here. I guess one of the things I can say is I'm glad that he didn't carry out the school shooting part. And the crazy part about it is I think school just started for a lot of people. So they was about to go into the first week with this thing. He was anyway. But going back to his mother, like I said, I wonder if she knew or had thoughts that her son was about to do something. If she did, I wish she would have went with her gut and said something. Then she would have prevented something from actually happening. Like 2 people ended up losing their lives. Well, 3 if you consider him, because he took himself out. But yeah, when you read just a part of the manifesto he said his stuff started to simmer back when the lockdown happened. And I guess he just couldn't take it anymore. And this is what made him snap. And that's scary to think about, considering that a lot of people had a lot of complaints when it came to that lockdown, mainly PC. And a lot of them could snap at any given time. But the one thing I will give him is he was honest. He said that he was evil and he was wicked. He said that. Those were his words. It kind of reminds me of the video I did about that one woman who I recently did a video on, where she just basically said that she did what she did because she felt like it, or she could, or something to that effect. Y'all know what I'm talking about. It was very recent. But it is what it is. And it makes me wonder again, if he did not take himself out, would the cops have done it? After all, Peyton Gendron was taken in alive. But I don't think he put anywhere in his manifesto, as far as I'm concerned, that he was going to die, or him leaving his goodbyes, or whatever the case may be. Again, that Columbine thing may have happened back in 1999, but the ramifications of it, the effects of it, still are thriving today. And you see that happen with this story right here. But I'm going to go ahead and end the video on that note. Y'all let me know what you think down in the comments. Subscribe if you are new. Hit the bell to be notified whenever I upload a new video or go live. Also, I upload my videos in a Premiere style, so in case the bell does not work for you, make sure you go ahead and hit the notify me button, which will either be on the bottom left or the bottom right of the thumbnail for the video, and you will be notified that way. Links will be in the description. I'll talk to you in the next one.